Hi everybody and welcome to Mike's Hidden Histories. Today I'm in Kildare, a town in County Kildare in the east of Ireland, to tell you about this particular site here, which is now the location of a cathedral. But this was once a pagan site, where there was a shrine to the pagan goddess Brigid. And the 1st of February was an important date in pre-Christian times as well in pagan Ireland, because it was called Imbolc, IMBOLC, and it marked the beginning of spring. And Brigid was the name of a pagan goddess associated with spring, with fire, with fertility, and more. And she was venerated here on this site. But there was a second Brigid who came here and gave her name and gave the name Kildare also. And I'm going to tell you about that lady, who is one of the three patron saints of Ireland, along with St. Patrick and St. Columcille. And St. Brigid, or Brigid, was born into slavery. Her father was a chieftain called Duvtak, and her mother a slave called Brishak. And she was born in Fahart in the northeast of Ireland in 451. And she, as I said, was indentured to her father's household, and she worked as a slave in that household. Obviously a privileged slave, I am sure. Now, she's renowned for her generosity from a very early age, and her kindness to everybody who came along, the poor and others. And she gave away so much property. Her father was very patient with her. Once he brought her with him to visit the King of Leinster, and she gave away, while she was there, his diamond encrusted sword, or a jewel encrusted sword, a very valuable sword, and she gave it away to a pauper that she met. Now, the king said to Braddock, this girl is very special. She has more credit in heaven than either you or me. So she was given her freedom. And her father did want her to marry somebody that he'd selected, and she just wanted to marry God. And he accepted that. And she went off and became a nun. Now, she began to set up monasteries or convents from 468. But it was here, when she arrived here in 480, and she arrived at the pagan site here, where there was a permanent fire to her namesake Brigid, the goddess of fire. And that had been maintained here for hundreds of years. As often happened in Ireland, these pagan rituals were Christianized. So she Christianized it, kept the fire going. And in fact, that fire remained non-stop right up to the period of the Reformation in the 16th century. So Brigid gave her the name Kildare. Kildare in Irish means the Church of the Oak. So she built a wooden church with a thatch roof here beside an oak tree or beside an oak wood. Now, little is known about Brigid, about her life really, and a lot of the stories are fused with her namesake, the pagan goddess Brigid. But there are two stories I just want to tell you briefly. And the first concerns her going to a chieftain looking for land to build a church and to build a convent. He just laughed at her. And she said, would you give me land that my cloak would cover? He thought this was hilarious. So yes, he said. And she asked 4 of her nuns to grab each corner of her cloak, and apparently the cloak kept spreading and spreading and spreading up to 12 acres. Obviously the chieftain was so impressed that he gave her the land, he became a Christian, and he funded the church and the convent. That's one story. But even another story that's even that has lasted down to centuries is the story of what is called St. Brigid's Cross. And this is one of the 3 emblems of Ireland, along with the shamrock and the harp. So the story goes that St. Brigid was called to a chieftain's house, who was a chieftain who was dying. And some say it may have been her father, very likely her father, who had never converted to Christianity. But anyway, it was a pagan chieftain. And he was dying, he was fairly delirious in the bed, and she was there holding his hand. And she start to tell him about God and the Christian life and the meaning of the cross. And the floor was covered with reeds. Earthen floors were covered with these reeds, which was common at that time. And she picked up the little reeds and she started making them into the shape of this cross. And he was so impressed by that and so impressed by the story that the chieftain converted to Christianity before he died. So there's just two stories about St. Brigid. Her feast day is the 1st of February. And that was the day she died in 525. When Brigid died here in Kildare, her remains were buried in the original church here at the high altar, which by all accounts was a place of pilgrimage with a lot of valuables left there. That was okay till the Vikings started raiding Ireland, and Kildare was raided between 838 and 898, 16 times. And but in 868, for safety, Brigid's remains were removed from the church and were brought up to Downpatrick in County Down and buried beside St. Patrick and St. Columba, two other patron saints of Ireland. St. Columba is also called St. Columkill. In June 1186, her remains and the remains of the other two saints, Patrick and Columkill, were reinterred inside Downpatrick Cathedral, where they remain to this day. Now, in fact, her skull, St. Brigid's skull, was removed in 1283 by 3 knights and was brought to a Jesuit church in Lumiar outside Lisbon in Portugal, and is there still today. So Brigid is famous in Portugal as well as in Ireland and other parts of the world. So there's the story of a Brigid, a Christian Brigid, Saint Brigid, one of the 3 patron saints of Ireland. And I've told you also about her namesake, Brigid, the goddess of fire. And both of them are associated with the first day of spring, which in pagan times was the 1st of February, and Brigid is reputed to have died also on the 1st of February in 525. That's all from Mike's Hidden Histories. More next time.